Greetings from Pastor Dave, pastor of Akron United Methodist Church in Akron, Indiana. Today is Holy Wednesday. It's the third, it's the middle of the week of Holy Week. And as we look back on Sunday, which was Palm Sunday or Passion Sunday, we remember that Jesus made a triumphant entry into Jerusalem. Now, most of the people there were shouting, Hosanna, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Most of those were from other towns, and they were traveling together in a band traveling toward Jerusalem. And Jesus was among them, and they had been hearing his teachings, they had seen his miracles, and so those were the big ardent group of supporters that were waving the palm branches and shouting, Hosanna, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. They were fans of Jesus. However, there were many in Jerusalem who were not fans of Jesus. They had encountered him over the last 3 years, but a lot of the people in Jerusalem did not really know a whole lot about him, or had heard about him, but they weren't that big of fans, especially the Pharisees and the Sadducees. So what I'm going to do is I look at this segment of Holy Week, Monday through Wednesday, because what typically happens is we go to church on Sunday, Palm Sunday, and it's a very nice, exciting service where you're waving palm branches. Everybody's excited, and then you go to Maunday, Thursday, and you see how the people are now turned on Jesus, and they're looking to plot. The Pharisees are looking to plot to kill him. So what happened in between that time? Well, that's what I'm going to really talk about this day, this Holy Wednesday. So the question is, why doesn't the Pharisees, Sadducees, the scribes, those leaders, why don't they like Jesus? I mean, he's done a lot of good things. So to get a handle on this situation, let's look at what's happening, and it happens during that 3-day period. Different scholars vary on exactly what happened on what day, so I'm going to share just some of the highlights of their interactions, and I'm going to be using the book The Life and Times of Jesus the Messiah by Alfred Edersheim, and the events of Holy Week from the English Standard Version Study Bible and the Harper Collins Study Bible as well. If you want to look at Matthew, it pretty much picks up in Matthew 23, and we'll go toward that a little bit later. So, no kidding, there Jesus was. He was entering the temple. And as he looked around, he saw moneylenders. And they were exchanging currency and doing it for a profit. And then he saw people who were selling, just right over there, people were selling animals for sacrifices, but they were price gouging. And they were selling animals that weren't always perfectly without blemish. So, what did he do? He was filled with righteous indignation. And so, he overthrew the tables. He turned the tables over in anger and righteous indignation. And then he ran them out of the temple. Well, let's look at the second and third order of the effects of that. There went the prophets for one of the biggest holidays of the year. And those prophets went out the door. And that did not make the Pharisees, Sadducees, and all the religious leaders happy, because that reduced their income. So they were not happy with Jesus. So they go to him and say, by what authority do you do this? And Jesus told them, I'll tell you what I'll do. If you answer my question, then I will answer yours. Here's my question. Where did the baptism of John come from? That's John the Baptist. Was it from heaven or from man? Well, the Pharisees held a theological huddle and critically reflected upon the Wesleyan quadrilateral to reach a decision, and they thought it out loud, and they said, well, if we say it's from heaven, then he would say, why did you not believe in John? And if we say, well, it was from man, then the crowds would get angry and riot because they believe John is a prophet. What do we tell Jesus? So we go to Jesus and we say, we'll just tell him we don't know. So they tell him, we don't know. And Jesus tells the Pharisees, well, neither will I tell you about what authority I do these things. Well, you see, that didn't really go over too well with the Pharisees. So they've already lost their happy thoughts, and their happy thoughts are just about to start increasing. So Jesus then begins to tell two parables which were directed at the Pharisees. And they didn't cast the Pharisees in a good light either. So that just angered them even more. And so at this point, the Pharisees are in agreement that, you know what? This Jesus guy, he's got to go. We need to get rid of him. He's creating a lot of issues, and we don't have time during Holy Week, this week of Passover, to deal with this. So later, the Pharisees and the Sadducees then ask a series of questions hoping to trap Jesus. You know what? It didn't work. Imagine that. And then Jesus tells the crowd, and I imagine there are Pharisees scattered about that crowd, and he told the crowds about the 7 woes of the Pharisees. Woes to the scribes and Pharisees. I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm just going to share a few. But woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you shut the kingdom of heaven in people's faces. Well, that's got to hurt. Woe to you, blind guides, who say, if anyone swears by the temple, it's nothing. But if anyone swears by the gold of the temple, he is bound by his oath. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But the Pharisees didn't like that. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you tithe mint and dill and cumin, and have neglected the weightier matters of the law, like justice, mercy, faithfulness. Woe to you, scribes, Pharisees, and hypocrites. He's used the word hypocrite several times, and they are not liking it. For you clean the outside of the cup and the plate, but inside they are full of greed and self-indulgence. And I'll leave the last one says, woe to you, scribes, Pharisees, and hypocrites, for you build the tombs of the prophets and decorate the monuments of the righteous, saying, if we had lived in the days of our fathers, we would not have taken part with them in shedding the blood of the prophets. No, sirree. Thus you witness against yourselves that you are the sons of those who murdered the prophets. Now we know that during Jesus' ministry there had always been tension between the Pharisees and the Jews from the beginning. And we can, though, remember that one Pharisee, Nicodemus, who came to Jesus by night, who later became a believer in Messiah and helped with his burial after he was crucified on the cross. That's another tackle. But we go back to this issue, this tension between the Pharisees and the Sadducees. So now it's 3 years into Jesus' ministry, and it's time to take off the gloves. And it's time to confront the religious leaders who are failing God, and they are failing to help the people to know God. So the Pharisees are confronted with the reality that they may lose power, they may lose position in the community and wealth because of this Jesus character who's come in and just turned things upside down. Their pride says someone has to go, and it has to be Jesus. It's not going to be us, says the Pharisees. So that's how we go from Hosanna in the highest to crucify him. So remember that as you get ready to take your Maunday, Thursday service, by the way, which we will have a Maunday, Thursday service, just kind of a homily, and when you watch it tomorrow on Maunday, Thursday, if you can, get if you have grape juice or some type of juice, and then a cracker or some bread, and we'll do Holy Communion. You'll do it as I'll go through the Great Thanksgiving, and you'll be able to do Holy Communion tomorrow. You have a great day, and this is Pastor Dave signing out. Have a good one. Stay healthy, stay safe, stay home.